I was listening to Jason Ballard. Jason is associated with Alpha, but he also does a church leaders podcast, Canadian Church Leaders podcast. And I was listening to him in an interview. He just told this short clip about how his father ran a Christian camp and how a young adult took some young teenagers along to the camp. This young adult was the counselor, and he said it was a train wreck of a week. The kids were unresponsive. Everything that he tried to do as far as devotional life and instill God in the kids' life, nothing seemed to work. It didn't seem to take. The young adult kind of walked away, was pretty discouraged. The story goes that 20 years later, one of the kids that was attached to this week that he had in camp got sick, seriously sick. Reached out 20 years later, reached out to this counselor and was just looking for this counselor to pray with him. And so because of this connection, the counselor learned that 3 or 4 of the kids that were involved in the camp came to Christ along the way in their journey. He had no idea 20 years later. And I was thinking about how this just converged so well with some of the things that we've been talking about and what we're planning for this weekend. We have influence. And I would just wanted to talk to you today about your influence that you have in the people's lives around you. This weekend, we're heading into Mother's Day, and we've got some things planned that are going to be a little different. We are going to have just a session with Andrea Gronenweld. She'll just do a 10-minute session, just encouraging parents, encouraging moms, influence in the home. And looking forward to her sharing. My mother-in-law is going to share a little bit about her life and talk about influence. Amita will do a little interview with her. Your influence is significant. And I have here this sheet of paper that Pastor Jesse made for me. 83 names of kids, all the way from little Brielle, Pastor Jesse's little girl, all the way up to my daughter, Bella, just graduated university. All of our students, 83 of them attached to GCF. I find it like unbelievable and amazing because you go, wow, 83 people attached to our church. Some of these kids are part of families that don't come here, but they come regularly to youth group or junior high. And so I was just thinking, 83 names on here. And we have an opportunity to influence these kids. And the influence that I'm asking you to exert, it's pretty easy. Whether you're a parent, a grandparent, whether you're an aunt or an uncle, I want you just to do something. Would you pray for your kids or your grandkids, for their friends? Jason said this on the interview, and I thought it was profound. If we could all just kind of make room for one more at our table, let's just think about it figuratively, perhaps even literally when we're able to, but make room for one more person, one of our children's friends. Amit and I, over the course of our children's lives, we've made it a point, as much as we can think about it, to pray for our kids' friends. And we've seen some of those friends take steps towards Jesus. I'm encouraging you. Got 83 names here. 83 names. Some of these families aren't attached to us. What if they're one of your kids' friends and we could just pray for that family, pray for that friend, and see them make their way? That's simple, isn't it? You could do that, couldn't you? Just intentionally pray for your children, your grandchildren, maybe a niece or nephew, their friends, that they would be influenced, that your prayers would influence those kids towards Jesus, those families. Can you imagine if all the families attached to this list made their way to Jesus? I think we can do that. Let's start praying intentionally. Okay, so looking forward to seeing you this weekend. Mother's Day, a couple of interesting things planned. I think you're going to enjoy it. and we'll talk about how our influence can go further for the kingdom of God. Have a great day.